Hello over there, everyone, from coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico. We're just getting set up here for our really big show tonight, the super blue moon lunar eclipse. We'll be setting up the screen here a little bit. You'll be seeing some changes. You are right now looking at a live shot of the super blue moon coming to you from New Mexico. In the upper left-hand corner is the LX850 cam, the camera pointed at the telescope and conveniently at the setting supermoon. The eclipse actually will be starting here in a little bit. The first hints of an eclipse actually begin at 3:51 Mountain Time. That's 10:51 Universal Time, where we enter what's called the penumbral eclipse. And that's when the Earth's penumbra, part of the shadow, starts touching the moon's face. It'll get very slightly darker. It'll be very tough to see. The real show begins at 4:48 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and that's when the moon starts entering the Earth's shadow, and it'll get quite dark. So enjoy the view for a little bit while we get things set up. And if you have any questions whatsoever, please enter them in the chat area and I will try and answer them for you here. Stay tuned as we get set up here for the super blue moon lunar eclipse. By the way, for the curious for everyone, I'll be taking pictures throughout this event. So sometimes what you will see is the camera control will come onto the screen here, and that's me working on actually taking the pictures. So you'll be seeing the whole fun photographic process here. Oops. And you also see me have fun learning the video management tool here while trying to control a telescope, while trying to take pictures of everything. And by the way, for the curious today, for this super blue moon event, what I'm basically doing, of course, is taking pictures and taking video of the event, and I'm sharing with you the screenshots from the telescopes that are on the LX850 mount. So what's happening here is, so you're going to be basically seeing today not only the live images from not only the super blue moon, but also the eclipse, but also me taking pictures throughout the process. And as the event picks up, I'm going to be taking numerous pictures, different exposures, different ISO settings, and trying to get the best picture for the right condition, depending on the light and the lighting. And there are some hazy clouds out, so that may impact how I'm going to do the picture also. So you'll see the picture vary from time to time here. Right now, what you're seeing here is a live shot of the super blue moon, and this is from the larger telescope. If you look in the LX850 cam in the upper left hand corner, this is on the bigger tube. Now if you look in the area discussing the channel, I do provide the link for the camera, so you can, for the LX850 cam, so you can also open another web screen and look at the cam view, and they'll give you a larger view of the telescope and of course the moon coming into the field of view that you see there. And you can see there are some clouds on the horizon. We should be able to pierce all that. It should make it fairly interesting. Also, there is a very good chance aircraft could be flying in front of the lunar eclipse, so this will be real interesting tonight if we can capture that event. I am running 2 cameras actually here, and you'll even see me pop in and out going outside because unfortunately I don't have control of the other camera. That cord, the connector on that camera needs to be repaired. So every now and then you'll see me head on out and take some pictures with the other camera. So we're going to have some fun with this tonight. If you have any questions throughout the evening, and I'll be repeating this, please feel free to send me messages in the live chat area, and I'll try and answer you through the audio. So this is a real exciting night. I did take a nap, by the way, before this event. So I think I'm rested, but I don't know yet. I don't know. So again, if you have any questions or what have you, please feel free to message me. And just to give you everyone a heads up, we are very, very, very close to entering the penumbral phase of the eclipse. So we're actually looking at some of the charts here. We're just on the edge of entering that right now. There will be a very subtle change to the color of the moon here. It'll just get only slightly dimmer. So not much change yet. But we are entering now the early phases of the eclipse. So you'll be seeing me taking a few pictures here during this process. And again, if you have any questions whatsoever on what I'm doing, please put it in the live chat area. I will try and get to your questions and answer it if it's not too confusing or anything. And again, we're in the penumbral phase of the eclipse. We're not going to hit the actual entering the umbra or the shadow of the umbra shadow of the Earth until just a little bit here. And so one other thing, you'll see the image darken a few times. That's because I'm trying to get an actual picture, and the live view versus the picture result is a little different in what I get. So in other words, the live view, when I take a picture of a live view, it tends to be very washed out. There's a bit of a difference. So what I'm doing right now, as you notice it getting darker, is at least on the one screen, I'm taking a quick picture of the moon in this current state. Let's go back here. So let me show you here on the screen. This is the live view of the moon at a higher a faster exposure rate, 1/2000th of a second. So that makes the live view look darker. But if you look over at here, the picture, it actually looks more normal, and that's what I want. I want that normal picture so I can share with all you guys. This will be changing shortly. You'll start seeing it go into the shadow, and yes, I do have to adjust the exposure and the ISO setting. As a matter of fact, I believe once we're in totality, I'll be at an ISO setting of 3200. Right now I'm at the ISO setting of 400, and my exposure will go down to almost 1 second. I'll even do a 10-second exposure so you can see what the stars look like and everything. So let's go back to that live view, and let me take one more picture first. Yeah, I've got that picture. Good. Now let's go back to a little brighter live view here. And actually, what I'm doing right now is the cameras themselves are hooked up to the Eagle 2 computer, which is mounted underneath, right underneath the bigger telescope, the 130 millimeter. That is controlling everything. That is then going wirelessly to my laptop computer, where I'm controlling everything here in a nice warm comfort of my office. Right now, the winds are about 5 miles an hour, and it's 35 degrees outside. So it's a bit cool, not too bad. It's not like a big, deep Arctic winter. But anyways, so you'll see me working the computer, you'll see me working the camera, you'll see me working lots of things here. So I'm going to try and walk and chew gum here at the same time here. Again, if you want to see the LX850 cam view, I did put the web link. You'll find it in the dialog box for this session here. And yes, if you look in the LX850 cam view, it is pretty bright outside. That is an infrared view you're looking at right now of the telescope and the night sky and what have you, but it is brighter than it typically is because we have a really bright moon out. When I walk outside, you can definitely see shadows from myself, the telescope, everything you see in the image. It's getting crazy. Now, actually, the shadows are getting longer because the moon is getting lower in the horizon. This is getting pretty exciting. We're getting really close to the start of the main eclipse event. So right now, we're just in what we call the super blue moon mode. Super because, well, the moon is right now at perigee, or very close to it, and that makes it bigger. So a non-scientific term of super was added to this label, and we get these fairly often. It's basically, again, the moon's it's an elliptical orbit around the Earth, and one end is closer to the other. We're now at the closest point, and it just happens to coincide with the full moon. A blue moon, well, because we are having our second full moon in the month of January. So that makes it a blue moon, a super blue moon. Why is it called a blood moon? Well, I guess people call it blood moon because it looks blood red. And people are also thinking of end of the world and what have you. That's not happening here. So, but it is a cool looking red colored moon. And I'll be back in one moment. I'm actually going to go outside, and on the small telescope, which we don't have a remote control for that camera right now, I'm going to go ahead and take a very quick picture, and then I'll be right back with you. And again, if you have any questions whatsoever, enter them in the live chat area. Hello, I'm back. This is Andrew Santangelo coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico. We have actually entered the penumbra of the Earth's shadow, so the moon is going to get just slightly dim here. It's going to be hard to perceive because also, if you look in the LX850 cam view in the upper right-hand corner, or if you go to the direct link, upper left-hand corner, you go to the direct link, you can see there are some clouds coming in. So that'll dim it just so slightly, so it'll be very tough to see. But we are now getting into the event. It'll start really getting exciting in about, I want to say about 51 minutes. Then you'll start seeing it entering the shadow, the umbra of the Earth. The moon will enter the umbra of the Earth. By the way, if you haven't done so already, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. We're making a push to get also 1,000 subscribers by February the 19th because YouTube has new rules now, and I need to get 1,000 subscribers apparently. So I'm going to try and do that. Again, if you have any questions or anything, please enter them in the live chat area, and I'll try and answer them as soon as possible. You are now looking at a live view of the super blue moon taken from the LX850 telescope and the 130 millimeter refractor that's on top of the Meade APO Series 6000 refractor. I really like working with this refractor, by the way. You'll also see me changing the view a few times because I'm trying to get pictures of this event, so you'll see that change a few times. You'll also see different views and different perspectives, and that's again all because I'm taking pictures. And as this event picks up, I'm going to be taking a lot of pictures and a lot of angles, a lot of different exposures and ISO settings. So you're going to see this happen live. One thing when doing these events is I just whip out many pictures, but that's okay because, well, now we're dealing with a digital camera and there's no film to develop or anything, so I can just take as many pictures as my heart's desire here. And that's good because then I can pick which are the best view for what I'm trying to do. Hello all, this is Andrew Santangelo coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico. What you're seeing here is a live view of the super blue moon coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico. In the upper left hand corner is the LX850 cam view, kind of showing you the view of the sky and the telescope and its position in the moon and everything here. And what we're going to do here is, by the way, I've noticed it was dimming a bit, and I was thinking maybe we are getting an impact from the penumbra, but actually what's going on is we've got some high-level clouds coming in front of the moon. And I just updated the view for you there. I didn't realize the view wasn't getting updated. So there is the live view of the moon. So it's dimming a bit, but it's dimming a bit because we have some high-level clouds. But the moon is fortunately bright enough and the clouds are thin enough we can still see the moon. They are calling for clear skies once we enter the main event of the super blue blood moon event eclipse. And you can see some pockets of clear skies coming up into the northeast, it looks like. So, anyways, let's cross our fingers here that the weather does hold out. It is pretty calm outside. It's about 35 degrees. The winds are not really there. So, anyways, enjoy the view. You're going to be seeing me taking pictures. So you'll see the view and the pictures I take. Things are going to change really rapidly, especially once we enter the eclipse. And that's because I'm trying to get different angles. Different exposures. So I've got a terrestrial photographer trying to get different exposures, different ISO settings for the eclipse. I'll even, during the actual totality, I will be taking long exposure shots so I can get pictures with the stars in the sky. There is a very real chance also that as it gets lower in the sky, some planes you'll see fly in front of the eclipsing moon. That will be really cool. I'll be going out every now and then to take pictures with the other telescope, which is not hooked up to the control system. It's powered by our Eagle 2 computer, but the connector, the actual physical connector on the camera that's used on the smaller 80mm telescope is broken. So I have to go out there and manually take the picture. But that's fine. It gets me out of my chair, it gets me exercise and what have you. Again, if you have any questions whatsoever, I will try and answer them for you and put them down in the live chat section here. We're about, I want to say, 43 minutes away from entering the actual umbra of the Earth's shadow, and things will start to really darken up, and this will get really cool. Right now, the moon is entering the penumbra of the shadow of the Earth. So it's a very, very slight dimming. But it's very tough to tell right now because we also have clouds, thin clouds going in front of the moon. That also dims the view. And actually, I'm looking at my live view here, and you can definitely tell there's some clouds. I'm going to actually play around with one exposure here, and we'll just see what the effect of the cloud is right now. I'm going to actually go to a, let's go here. You can't see it, but I'm doing a camera control here. You'll see that things brighten up, really brighten up, and you'll see the hint of the clouds. I'm going to take a picture now. Yeah, you can definitely tell the haziness of the clouds. You can kind of get that feel for it. So let me change the exposure a little bit more. By the way, if it was a bit clearer out, you wouldn't really be able to tell. But the moon is going near the Beehive cluster in the constellation Cancer. And so there's actually a neat, cool star cluster coming close by. Let's go ahead and get the regular view again. By the way, if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to my channel, and that's the SpaceTraveler X channel. We're trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers. Actually, I think I'm actually up to 900 followers on Instagram right now. I think the rate things are going, I'm going to hit 1,000 followers on Instagram. But I'm trying to do that also on the YouTube side of things. So if you haven't subscribed already, please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel, where we try and cover several events and just little video vignettes and what have you. Also, the LX850 cam view, after this whole event is done, I will be putting this into a time-lapse film for the whole event and then sharing it also on this channel. So I'm going to have some fun. You're going to see me experimenting with the photography and what have you. I am noticing a slight dimming of the moon, but that is due to, I think, two things. I do think it's due to, one, entering the penumbra of the Earth's shadow, but also I believe it's because we're also in getting some high-level clouds, so that's also affecting kind of our view there, as you can see from the LX850 cam in the upper left-hand corner. For those who are curious, the telescope is being controlled wirelessly right now through our Wi-Fi module called Stella from Meade Telescopes. And the Stella module is it's a Wi-Fi box that hooks up to the LX850 telescope. It's tied up into my home network, which then goes into my iPad. And from the iPad, I can kind of tweak things, move the view of the moon around and what have you. And of course, when there's no moon out, I go bouncing from star to star and deep sky object and things like that, all from the comfort of my office from my iPad. Though, if it's a nice day out, I'll be outside with my iPad too and sit down and enjoy the sky and control it from there. Again, if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to answer them in the live chat area. Once the excitement begins, I won't be able to answer a whole lot. I'll try to, but you're going to see me taking a lot of pictures once the event begins to start. So it's going to get pretty exciting here. Again, some of the darkening you see in the image is due to the clouds we're going through right now. And you can see those clouds in the upper right-hand corner, or left-hand corner of the LX850 cam view. Right now you're seeing the moon move. That's because I'm actually controlling it. I'm trying to frame a shot here, and so that's what you see me trying to do, is frame the image. Nice photographer term. Yeah, I'm seeing a little hint of the impacts from the cloud on the image. Some of the extra banding you see in the darkening, that's due to the cloud. We're actually going to the meat, the thicker part of the cloud. So, but we can still see the moon. That's a good sign. But that's why it's looking a little murkier. The moon is right now entering the penumbra of the Earth's shadow, so it provides a slight, very slight dimming. And I was really hoping to capture that slight dimming, but to really do that, I need clear skies. And if you look in the upper left-hand corner, you can see there's a band of high clouds going in front of the moon. And that is why you're seeing the moon vary in brightness. So we are actually in the eclipse, lunar eclipse event now. The moon, there's two shadows: the penumbra, which is like an outer shadow, and then the umbra. That's where the dark part that you see. We're not in the umbra yet, but we're getting close to it. Now, the claim by the weather forecasters, it's going to be clearing up starting around 5 o'clock Mountain Time. And that's in 50 minutes. So, and I do see kind of that hole in the sky to the northwest that you see. In that view you see in the LX850 cam view, that is on the right-hand side. That's more towards the northwest. So hopefully that moves. Now, it looks like it is. Be able to tell, and I'm actually looking at the view right now on the camera screen. You can definitely see we're going through the cloud right now. It's definitely getting darker. I can actually see the cloud in this live view going in front of it. Now, let me see if I'm trying to get a good picture of the moon here. Let's see. Yeah, see, I just did this exposure, and I'll do even a slower exposure, 1/100th. And you can see that haze all kind of around, that overexposed picture of the moon. So, yeah, we're going through the cloud, and that's what's causing some of the darkening, or the varying. You see it sometimes brightening. You see it sometimes darkening. So it's very tough to tell that we're entering the penumbra of the Earth. Yeah, see now, this exposure of 1/500th of a setting I'm using right now, this moon would look fairly bright. But because we're looking through the clouds right now, well, it's not very bright. So I'm going to change the exposure to 1/125th of a second, actually 1/100th of a second. And there we can see a little bit more of the moon. It's murkier, not really because of the eclipse, but because we are going through clouds, high-level clouds, as you can see in the LX850 cam view. But we're almost out of the clouds. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the live chat area. Oh, and I see Astronomy Tonight. You are online and you've joined us. Hey, thank you very much. And they're coming from Massachusetts. Now, I have to ask you, what part of Massachusetts are you from? Are you close to Boston, or are you on the west side of the state? If I remember right, I think Massachusetts is getting a winter weather event coming up here pretty quick. Now, the other thing is, the moon is going to, the eclipse will be done right like 2 minutes before moonset here in New Mexico. Unfortunately, if you look at the angle the moon is taking, it's going to go right behind the house. So we will probably, you'll probably see the house come into view. The other thing, as I've mentioned before, as the moon starts getting lower and lower, we've had planes go in front of the full moon. And so there's a good chance we will see potentially planes go in front of us. Now, you'll notice now the view of the moon is brightening up. And I haven't changed the exposure. That is because we're beginning to come out of the clouds. So I'm going to go ahead and change that exposure setting. So you're going to see me play around with the cameras. That's the other event. Now you get to see the event. You get to see me take all the various pictures that then I'm going to clean up and put on the internet to share with everyone here. And one thing to mention, besides the SpaceTraveler X channel, and by the way, if you haven't subscribed, if you could subscribe, that would be fantastic. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers on our channel. If you go to the link in the information box, the basic info area, I guess, you'll see we have set up the LX850 cam view. Oh, we got a new subscriber. And let's see. Can't see the name, but thank you very much, new subscriber. You'll see the link to the LX850 cam. So you can actually have this YouTube channel on the screen and the direct LX850 cam view available. So you can see now that little square on the YouTube channel, you can see a full-size view of the video there. Right now, we are about, I want to say 32 minutes away from entering the Earth's umbra, the shadow, and things definitely will get dark out. And it looks like the timing may be perfect because I'm seeing a clear open sky form right before the moon in the live LX850 cam view. So we're crossing our fingers here. By the way, some of the movement you'll see of the moon, that is me actually controlling the telescope. You'll actually see it move around a little bit. That's probably because I'm trying to frame the picture here. Not only give you guys a different view of the moon, but I'm trying to frame up the picture here. And I've got some plans for this picture as it comes into play. Again, the moon is entering in the penumbra of the Earth's shadow. That's kind of the outer dim shadow. That would be noticeable. You'll notice a slight dimming, but part of that slight dimming is again because we're also going through some clouds, high-level thin clouds, which also affects the brightness of the moon. But soon, in about 30 minutes, we'll be entering the umbra, or the moon will be entering the umbra of the Earth's shadow, and you will see that circle. It'll be a very distinct little circle form here. And that curved little dark shadow will grow and grow and grow until the super blue moon becomes the super blue blood moon, as they like to call it. Basically, it's a lunar eclipse that's a full moon in its perigee, in its elliptical orbit, its closest point, and it's a blue moon because, well, it's the second full moon of the month of January. The last time, by the way, all three of these events happened together, well, that was 1866. So you guys are all alive to catch this incredibly rare event here. I'm going to snap another couple pictures here, so bear with me. You'll see the exposures change a little bit, and you'll see some picture views change. But see, I got to capture pictures too of this event. And I think we are getting, you know, the moon's beginning to come out of the clouds here, and I'm suspicious. I am detecting a change in that we are in what's called the penumbra part of the shadow of the Earth, because normally when I take an exposure of 1/2000th of a second, which you see right now on the screen, it's a little brighter than that. The picture is a little brighter. Now at 1/2000th of a second, it's a little dimmer. So that tells me we are seeing some change. It's still kind of tough to tell though, because we are in, well, we got some high level clouds going in front of the moon too, but we're getting very close to the main event here. And for those of you curious what kind of telescope I am using these images you are seeing right here are from a Meade Series 6000 130 millimeter ED APO refractor, and that's got hooked up to a Canon 80D camera. And that's how I'm taking the pictures and providing this live view. I also have an 80 millimeter Meade Series 6000 ED APO. That's doing my wide field photography right now. And that one, unfortunately, the connector on the camera, it's this Canon 60DA. The USB connector is broken on it. So that camera is going in for repair. So when I take a picture, I have to zip out and take a quick picture manually. So you have to bear with me for that. Again, if you have any questions or anything, you can send a message on live chat, and I'll try and get them to you. We're coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico, where we're looking at, right now, the super blue moon. It's super because, well, it's bigger than normal, and it is on its perigee in its orbit, so we use the non-technical term, super. It's really a moon at perigee. But it is slightly bigger, and it is brighter. It is a blue moon because, well, this is the second full moon of the month of January, and that makes it a blue moon. Soon we'll be entering the lunar eclipse, and it'll be a super moon, it'll be a blue moon, and when it's totality, it will be a red moon, and some people like to call it a blood moon. So then that's how we get the term super blue blood moon. Some of my hardcore astronomer friends cringe at that phrase. I have no problems with it, because that's how you meet people who are interested in astronomy, and you can talk with them about the eclipse, the orbit of the moon, and take it from a more of a whatever it is, a catchy name, to what is really going on here. And it's a great educational opportunity. So I have no problems calling it a super blue blood moon. Yes, corny, but I enjoy it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll be whisking off a few more pictures here. We are right now 26 minutes away from the moon, the super blue moon, entering the umbra of the Earth's shadow. The moon is getting out of the high clouds, and I certainly am detecting there is a slight dimming of the moon, and that makes sense because we are now in the penumbra of the Earth's shadow, or the moon is. We're not in the shadow, we're on Earth. And let me just do a couple quick pictures. You'll see me zip around and play around with the pictures. Now, normally at this point, if it's a regular full moon, like it was a couple hours, regular super blue moon, my exposure was at 1/2000th of a second. And now to get a similar looking picture, I have to go with, it looks like 1/1600th of a second. And that, so there is some slight dimming. The other thing I'm catching is the upper right-hand corner, probably the 1 o'clock position of the moon, seems to be a little darker than the rest of the moon. That is telling me that is probably where we're going to see the moon enter Earth's umbra. So we're going to keep a close eye at the 1 o'clock position of the moon to see if that happens. But I'm very suspicious. That's the darkest end, and that's where the moon will be entering the shadow. Again, my name is Andrew Santangelo, coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico. We're here looking at the super blue moon. In the upper left-hand corner, you're seeing the LX850 cam view of the sky. And you can see the moon is coming out of the clouds. And I am pretty convinced right now we are looking at if you look at the 1 o'clock position, that is a slight dimming of the moon. That's because the moon is entering the penumbra, the penumbra shadow of Earth. So it's moving along pretty fast. Again, you're going to see me take a range of pictures very rapidly and change the view. And I'm not trying to annoy you or confuse anyone here, but I'm trying to zip off as many pictures once the event happens as possible. Different exposures, different ISO settings, different light settings. So I can get kind of a whole array of pictures and see which one works best. Part of that's also driving that is we will have some high-level clouds that will be impacting the view too. So you will see me kind of play astrophotographer here in this whole process, and you'll actually enjoy the excitement of seeing me take these pictures and even see the magic of how I take them. But I'm pretty convinced right now, if you look in the upper right-hand corner, the 1 o'clock, maybe 2 o'clock position of the moon, it is darker than the rest of the moon. That is the leading edge into the penumbra of the Earth's shadow. That's getting pretty exciting. We're moseying along really fast here. I'm going to take, you can see me play around with, again, some pictures. I want to try and capture this differentiation here. And let's see here. So I'm playing with exposures, just kind of getting a feel for it. But I am definitely detecting there is a slight dimming of the moon. It will be really noticeable here in 22 minutes, and that's when the excitement really begins. That will be at 4:48 Mountain Standard Time, 6:48 Eastern Standard Time. Those of you on the Pacific Coast, that'll be 3:48, so a little early there. And Universal Time, that will be at 11:48. So it'll be almost lunchtime out in London when we start entering the umbra of the Earth's shadow. And it'll be, I want to say, about a half hour, 40 minutes later during lunch for you people in Europe, we'll be in totality with the moon. And you'll see that darkened view. That is not the moon in the umbra. That is me playing with exposures. So nothing exciting. Trust me, folks, when we enter the umbra, you'll know it. Yeah, we're definitely detecting a darkening of the moon in the upper right-hand corner, the 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock position. If you look there, it seems awfully darker than the rest of the moon. That is the leading edge of the moon entering the penumbra of the Earth's shadow. So it's actually in the Earth's, the moon is actually in the Earth's shadow right now. But it's a little, it's just a very faint shadow right now. So so that's why it's not totally dark yet, but it is a bit dimmer, and that's why you see what you see right now. So this is pretty exciting, folks. And it is definitely noticeable now that we are got some of the high clouds out of the way, and hopefully they stay away. I'm going to take another picture here, and so you see me change the view. You'll see it dim here. Let's see how that view looks. Yeah, I can definitely see in this picture here that I've just taken, the 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock position is indeed getting darker. Now, once it enters the umbra of the Earth's shadow, that's when the excitement begins, folks. So I guess it's pretty exciting right now. Oops. Playing around with the exposure here. The dimming you're seeing is not due to the Earth shadow. There's some of that. I'm playing with the exposure settings on the live view here. That's because I'm taking a range of pictures. I'll be back in one moment. You're going to see me step outside in the LX850 cam view. On the upper left-hand corner, I'm going to take a picture manually with the other camera. Remember, I don't have that remote control, but things are getting exciting, folks. All right, got my picture. It is definitely getting definitely darker, in the upper right-hand corner of the moon. That's because we are in the penumbra of the Earth's shadow. Now, I keep saying, wait, it is the moon in the penumbra. And by the way, when I was outside working on the one camera manually, it was very obvious. It is getting dark in that corner there. And you'll be seeing I'm going to be, as I've mentioned to others, I am playing around with lighting and exposure for the moon right now. And so you're seeing those various views. So you'll see windows move by really quickly. Once the event begins, you'll see me doing it quite often here. I will probably switch some of the views around so I can get that live view. I'm also going to be converting the other camera over to video mode because there is a good chance an aircraft could fly in front of the super blue blood moon event here. Again, my name is Andrew Santangelo. I'm coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico. And what you are looking at, if you look carefully, on the upper right-hand corner, the 1 o'clock position, maybe 2 o'clock, 1:30, who knows, position of the moon, that is the Earth's shadow, the penumbra, the outer band shadow from the Earth. That is definitely darkening that edge. That is, based on what I'm seeing here, that is where the umbra, the part that looks really dark, is going to enter the moon, and that's where you see the moon entering that shadow, and that's when the excitement will begin. The weather, it is beautiful outside. It's fairly calm. It is 35 degrees. As you can see, no snow. We do have some high-level clouds going in front of the moon, but hopefully we're lucky and we won't have a problem here. The excitement builds, folks. Hello everyone, this is Andrew Santangelo coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico, doing video and photography of the super blood moon event here. This is all pretty exciting here. You're going to see me change the exposure on the cameras and everything as I'm varying the picture, trying to frame that perfect picture for posting later on. As you can see in the 1:30 position, the moon is getting deeper and deeper and deeper into the penumbra of the Earth's shadow. That's the outer band shadow. That area is where the moon will enter the umbra, the main part of the Earth's shadow. And that event is going to happen in about 12 minutes. And you'll see me quickly whisk off some other pictures with my other camera, and I'm going to change that over to video mode. I'm going to try and video record some of the event. So you'll see your view change around a little bit, and then I'll be mostly into digital photography mode here, trying to capture the best picture. I'm experimenting with different ISO settings and exposures here. So right now in this live view, the moon is definitely getting darker as it's going deep into the penumbra of the Earth's shadow. So the super blood moon, or blue moon right now, super because the moon is in its perigee in its orbit around the Earth, and that puts at its closest point but it's cooler to say super versus perigee. Blue moon because it's the second full moon of the month of January. So when you have 2 full moons in a month, the second moon is called a blue moon. And once we enter the lunar eclipse phase, it'll turn, once we're in totality, it will be red, and people like to call it the blood moon. So then we'll become the super blue blood moon lunar eclipse. Last time this happened was in 1866. How about that? And you're alive to see this right now. If you haven't already, if you could subscribe to my channel, SpaceTraveler X, that would be fantastic. You'll be able to see this video and others. And it's a great way to support this channel as I try and grow this audience. While also, I don't know if you all know, not only am I an astronomer and astrophotographer, but yes, I am indeed a rocket scientist. I do work on several CubeSats and small satellites that are going into space here in the near term. And matter of fact, one of the radio systems that's being used on this telescope right now for this eclipse event, I've got 4 similar ones, the Link Star STX-3, going into space on 4 different CubeSat missions. The radio talks to other satellites in space, beaconing data. So right now, that radio is talking with satellites up in space, collecting data from the LX850 telescope and to space and right down to our servers here in New Mexico. What's really cool about this system is you can do it in a remote location. You don't have to worry about cell towers or anything. We could have used cell service, but right now we're also testing out the radio here. And of course, if there's a natural disaster, you can't use a cell tower. The other beauty about this radio system is you can use them on boats, on the middle of the ocean, on aircraft, and we've taken these to balloons up to 100,000 feet, and of course into space. In the meantime, you can see the moon is getting deeper and deeper into the penumbra of the Earth's shadow. It's getting pretty exciting here. We're 9 minutes away from entering the umbra of the Earth. Not we, but the moon is 9 minutes away from entering the umbra. I gotta stop saying this we thing here. You can see me switch over here, and I'm just doing an overexposed shot. That's at 1/400th of a second, and you can definitely, usually the picture is washed out, but you can definitely see there is a dark end to the picture. That is cool. That is cool. So we are definitely getting into the Earth's shadow. And this time it is not due to high clouds. It is, you can see in the left-hand corner in the LX850 cam view, it is all from just being, let's see here. Hold on, I'm trying to adjust some camera, trying to be a photographer here and run the show and all that good stuff. Let's go ahead and change our exposure here. You're going to see me go into photographer mode. So you guys are not going to see the live view of the moon. You're going to see me as the photographer mode. So we can have a permanent record for this. And yes, I'll be creating metal prints and posters of this event. But we are now 7 minutes away from entering the umbra of the Earth's shadow, folks. It's getting exciting. Again, if anyone has any questions whatsoever, you can ask in the live chat area, and while I'm taking all the pictures and everything, I'll try and answer your questions. Also, if you haven't already, if you could subscribe to my YouTube channel, SpaceTraveler X, that would be fantastic. We're trying to reach 1,000 new subscribers by this February 19th, and we're hoping we can pull that off. So if you haven't subscribed already, come join the fun. Anyways, we are about 6 minutes away. The moon, that is about 6 minutes away from entering the umbra, the main event of the Earth's shadow. And that's our lunar eclipse event. And that's going to happen at 4:48 Mountain Standard Time, 3:48 on this broadcast. Pacific Time, 6:48 Eastern Time. And for those of you in the Universal Time in London, it'll be at 11:48, right before lunch here. It's getting exciting, folks. You can see it's getting definitely dark in the upper right-hand corner of the moon. And again, I apologize if you see the image could bounce around and everything. That is because I am quickly trying to take a range of pictures. Now, one thing you will notice is in the LX8 or in the LX850 cam view, it will not dim. I don't think you won't see much dimming until totality, because because it's an infrared camera. It's an infrared camera mode. So right now it's not in its cool night vision security mode, but it gives us a good view of what the sky is like. It lets us see the telescope and the clouds and all that good stuff. Right now, I've just popped back up. I went from my photography mode and changed the exposure. Sometimes you will see the moon dim suddenly. That's because I'm changing the exposure for my photographs over here on this end. In fact, I'm going to go to my palette really quick here, and you'll see the screen get all clouded up here. And let's see here. Get the right. Yep, we're getting all the pictures. Make sure I'm getting all these pictures here, folks. I'd hate to have this whole event and not get a picture. That would be bad. We are 4 minutes away from the moon entering the umbra of the Earth's shadow. But as you can tell, in the upper right-hand corner at the 1:30 position, it is getting darker and darker and darker as we get deep in there, and then it'll get to be a very distinct event. And by the way, stepping outside, I'm going to open my curtain now. I don't have to step outside. I can definitely see. I don't know why I did this before. Actually, I'm looking out my window right here. It's, you know, these applications are telling me the event, and the website says it's going to start at 4:48. I think partial eclipse just began right now, so I'm going to go with that. It's very distinctful looking right now out my window here in the high desert of New Mexico. I'm going to take a couple quick pictures, so bear with me. And I'm going to zip out really quick and take a picture. Yeah, it's definitely darkening a bit, folks. I think our apps and these websites are a little bit off. But when we enter the umbra, or when the moon enters the umbra, it will be noticeable. Let's go ahead and go like that. Some of the darkening you see, that's me playing with the exposure as I'm taking pictures here, so bear with me. But I gotta get these pictures to post on Instagram and Facebook and the whole World Wide Web. I'm gonna go outside really quick. You'll see me in the LX850 cam. I'm gonna take an image with our wide field camera, which unfortunately I don't have remote control of, so bear with me. All right, folks, how's everyone doing? The moon is entering right now the umbra of the Earth's shadow. We are now beginning the partial phase of the lunar eclipse, and now we're entering the I guess the super blood moon phase. So we're not there yet, But we're entering into the lunar eclipse. We're now into the partial eclipse event. Hello all, this is Andrew Santangelo coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico. The moon has now entered the partial eclipse phase. The moon has actually entered the umbra of the Earth's shadow. So I'm going to start ticking. You can see there's a very distinct darkness to the picture. You're going to see me play photography, so your view is going to change a bit. So bear with me as we take these pictures. But this is getting cool, folks. We are now in the event. So now I'm playing channel monitor and photographer and astrophotographer and what have you here. But we are now entering the partial phase. The next event will be totality. And that should happen at approximately 5:51 a.m. Mountain Time or 7:51 Eastern Standard Time and 12:51 Universal Time. So it'll be just towards the end of lunch out there in the UK. In the upper left-hand corner, you are seeing the LX850 cam view of the moon. And you can see the moon is approaching moonset. Unfortunately, or the fortunate thing is we are able to see this lunar eclipse and the total super blood moon, supermoon. The problem is it will be near the end when it reaches, well, behind that house. And the end of the eclipse is, which will happen at about 7 o'clock, they'll be right at moonset. And so unfortunately we won't be able to see the moon come out of the shadow. We'll just see the moon go into the shadow and become a blood moon, a super blue blood moon. We'll see that for a bit until about, it goes until I want to say 7:07 is when it ends, but I think we'll be behind that home there you see in the camera view. And then maximum eclipse is at 6:29 Mountain Time. That's 5:29 Pacific Time, 8:29 Eastern Time, and that'll be what, 1:29 Universal Time. But we are well into the partial eclipse phase of the super blue blood moon on January 31st here. Again, if you have any questions, any comments, anything, go ahead and put it in the live chat area. And bear with me as I start taking all these cool pictures that I'll be posting later on. And actually, I'm going to zip outside really quick and get this next picture here, so bear with me. Enjoy the view. I'll be back in a moment. Hello all, this is Andrew Santangelo coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico, where we are witnessing the super blue moon, super because it's in perigee and its closest approach to the Earth, and blue moon because it's the second full moon of the month, going into a lunar eclipse. The moon is now entering the umbra of the Earth's shadow. So we are in what's called the partial eclipse phase. This is pretty exciting. And by the way, the moon, I got to tell you, when I go outside, it's very bright typically out there. But as the moon gets lower, of course, there's a little bit of dimming. As the moon goes further in the shadow, things are going to start getting really dim outside. Normally, when it becomes a total lunar eclipse, it gets quite dark out. And you can see quite a bit of stars and the planets and what have you. But because we're coming up against the sunrise, it will not be as dark because it'll start having a kind of a twilight look to everything. So this is going to be interesting how this view looks here. And you'll see me playing photographer and what have you here with this pictures here. Because I just got to get these cool pictures. I am adjusting the exposure now, so I can get, and I'll be playing soon with the ISO setting. Typically during totality, I'll be even as high as ISO 3200 and an exposure down to like, well, 1/10 of a second even. But sometimes I want to get pictures of the stars, so I'll even do up to a 10-second exposure. So all of you will get to see the fun of me playing photographer and playing with the telescope at the same time here. And Meta, I see your see if I get your name right, Sploiter. Yeah, this is exciting. And again, if you have any comments, and welcome to our live broadcast of the super blue moon coming from live from the high desert of New Mexico. If anyone has any questions, I'll try and answer your questions. And also, as I'm taking these pictures, I'm going to be explaining what I am doing. So you'll see a lot of things move around really fast here. Right now, I'm taking these pictures using a Canon 80D or 80D. And giving you both a live view, and of course I'm taking permanent pictures from this event. The view is coming through a Meade Series 6000 130mm ED APO refractor. It's a really sweet refractor. I love working with it. And all the camera equipment, telescopes, and everything are mounted onto the LX850 mount, which is providing all the tracking that you see here. And I did see a question: why do I have to go outside to take a picture of with one of the cameras? The Canon 80D is hooked up here in my office wirelessly, and I'm able to control that camera. Unfortunately, the other camera, the Canon 60D, which is on my wide field telescope, the USB connector is broken. Without that USB connector, I cannot control that camera remotely from inside the comforts of my office. So the only way that can take pictures is I have to go outside and click it every now and then. So that's kind of a pain. That will be repaired soon, and then I'll be able to control both cameras from this camera interface here. And thank you, Meta, for your compliments. Yes, it is beautiful. And I got to tell you, looking out my office window at this moon, it is really distinctful that it's got a chunk coming out of it from here. And again, if those of you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers here by February 19th. And of course, if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to ask. I'm going to whisk off another photo here, so I'm going to be in photographer mode, so you get to see the excitement of me taking pictures and sharing it with the world. And the moon is definitely going deep into the Earth's shadow. Again, for the curious, we were what we call the super blue moon. Super because the moon is at perigee, its closest approach to the Earth. And blue because we're the second full moon in a month. And 2 full moons in a month, the second one's called a blue moon. Soon, the moon will be deep inside the Earth's shadow, and it will be red colored, and that's where it gets the blood moon phrase. So the last time this happened, folks, was in 1866. So you're seeing an incredibly rare event, very fortunate event. In the upper right-hand corner, what you see is the LX 850 cam view. That's the view of the telescope equipment and the moon. And by the way the cam is lined up and the moon, pretty soon you're going to see, well, the moon go behind the telescope here. So, and I'm hoping we hit totality before we go behind the roof of the home of my next door neighbor. So don't worry, folks, the camera will not be looking in any windows in my neighbor's home. And one thing I want to say here, in Metasploiter, you are located in Oahu. You're going to see you should be seeing the full eclipse event right now where you're located. And for JAE, where you're located, if it's clear skies, you easily will see totality where you're at. You're just a bit further west of me. You'll actually have a little bit longer eclipse event. You'll see it through totality and even a little bit as it's exiting the Earth's shadow. And again, if you haven't already, if you could subscribe to my channel, that would be fantastic. Right now, we're in the partial eclipse phase for the super blue moon, and the moon is going deep into the Earth's umbra. And in a bit, at 5:51 Mountain Time, 4:51 Pacific Time, 7:51 Eastern Time, the moon is going to go red and disappear and be, well, it'll be there. You'll see it red, but it'll be very dark red. And then will be the super blue blood moon. And again, the last time that's happened was 1866. By the way, it's really cool. I'm using my Sky Safari application for tracking the moon. It also controls my telescope and everything. And it's showing a nice little red slice coming out of the side of the moon. So that's pretty cool. It's doing its job too, showing that the moon is indeed entering an eclipse. And actually, folks, I'm going to step out not only to take a picture, but I'm also going to adjust the LX 850 cam view because it looks like the moon will go right by. The telescope's going to block the view of the moon as it gets lined up here. By the way, with this infrared cam view for the LX 850 cam, even when most of the moon has disappeared, it will look like, it'll still look fairly bright because it's not measuring in the visible light, it's measuring in infrared. That's pretty cool. I'll be back in a moment. I'm going to go ahead and adjust that camera so it'll become easier for you guys to see more of everything here. All right, I am back here. This is Andrew Santangelo coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico, where we're watching the partial eclipse phase of the super blue moon. I had to go out and adjust the LX850 cam view so you can see the moon still as it goes behind the house and during moonset. And I'm going to be playing for, I was actually taking a picture at the wide field camera. I'm going to take another picture right here as a matter of fact. So you get to see the fun of me taking pictures of this event. And yes, I will be posting them, and I'll probably even make a picture of it, and actually poster of, excuse me, and metal prints that actually, I do sell these metal prints. Some people like them. They're pretty cool how they come out. I do posters. I do, of course, regular photographs, but I've been playing around with different media, including on metal, and that is, I gotta tell you, really cool how they have this technology to put your pictures on metal. It's like an aluminum thin sheet of metal, and it really stands out in the office, the home, what have you. And you're seeing me taking pictures. I'm actually, the exposure setting is now down between 1/1250th of a second and 1/1000th of a second. So I'm still at ISO 400, but this is going to be changing where the exposures will be going shorter and shorter and shorter. Oh, Meta, that's too bad. I see your message there that it's overcast. That's a bummer. Because you're in the perfect location to see the eclipse, the lunar eclipse where you're at. But that's okay, because you can join the fun here with us. Oh. Let me done taking this set of picture. Let me adjust the exposure again for you guys so you can take a look at this. And you can see the moon is going deep into the Earth's umbra, the shadow there. And by the way, for the curious, it is 35 degrees outside, virtually calm. It is getting darker out. With that bright moon overhead, it was quite distinctly bright outside. It is definitely getting darker outside, and there's no wind. There's a few clouds here and there, but it really is looking quite beautiful out here. Okay, time to zip some more pictures here in the event. Hopefully we'll catch an airplane here soon. This is Andrew Santangelo coming to you live from the high desert, New Mexico, sharing this event, and you're seeing me play astrophotographer, so I can capture this whole event here and get as many pictures as possible. I can tell you, as we're going deeper into this event, the exposure times on my camera are going down. Originally I was at 1/2000th of a second. Now I am at 1/800th of a second. So that is a distinct change. We're definitely getting darker and darker and darker. So you'll see the picture and the exposure change. That is actually me playing with the picture. So, but where you see it completely dark, that is indeed the partial phase of the super blue blood moon lunar eclipse. And we're moving rapidly into the eclipse phase. Now, if you notice, there will also be some hue change to the moon because there's a band of high clouds going in front of the moon. So that will change the look of the moon. I will also probably play with exposures here to bring out that look of the cloud. That's pretty cool, actually. So that's me being the photographer, so bear with me. Let's see here. Let's see if I can bring out the cloud in the picture. So I got to expose it a little bit more. Sometimes, depending on the thickness of the cloud, you can really bring it out. Let's see if we can see the cloud with this. Yeah, a little fuzzy, nothing there. But if you notice in this exposure here, you can see the craters on the covered in the shadow of the moon. That means the reason why you can see it, there's a little bit of earth shine, a little bit of light coming from all the cities on Earth, and some of the light bending around the moon, lighting up the dark side there of the shadow. That's pretty cool that we can pick that up. Let's go ahead and change our exposure so I can get some regular pictures. And the moon is definitely getting darker, and it is disappearing, folks. Of course, I will tell you the clouds are also dimming the moon, too. I'm going to go out and take another quick picture with the wide field camera. I definitely have to get that USB connector fixed on that Canon 60D camera, because once it's fixed, I can control everything from my command center here in my office here. So bear with me a minute. I'm going to go step out again. Alright, I'm back from my adventure outside. It is calm, it is beautiful, and it is getting darker outside. It is very distinctly getting darker outside. Like I said earlier, with that the super blue moon, it was really bright out, especially when the moon was overhead. Now, we've lost about half the moon right now. Actually, let's see how much. I want to give you the official... let's see here what the says here. We are, well, it says 100% of the moon is illuminated, but I doubt that because right now it's going under the shadow. So much for the app there. So, but it does know it's going through an eclipse right now. I'm going to take a couple more pictures of this here, so bear with me as I play photographer. And let's go ahead and get the view, and you can see part of it. the dimming is because of the high level clouds going in front of the moon. That also creates kind of a muddled look to the moon. But we're getting to see it, this eclipse. And it looks like soon it'll be out of those high level clouds and things will be a bit sharper. But one thing is for certain, even with the high level clouds, the exposure, I have to adjust the live shot even lower because of the, because now we're losing a lot of the moon due to it hiding to the Earth's umbra. Again, we're in the partial eclipse phase of this super blue moon lunar eclipse event. And once it goes fully into the Earth's shadow, completely in the umbra, people like to call it the blood moon because it has a red look to it, and some people attribute it to ominous events and what have you. It is a supermoon because it is at perigee, its closest approach in its orbit to the Earth, but perigee doesn't sound as cool as super. It is a blue moon because it's the second full moon of the month of January. Anytime you have 2 full moons in a month, you've got a blue moon is the second month. I'm going to play around with the exposures here and see what we can see here. Yeah, it's definitely going through the high clouds here that you're seeing here. Also trying to bring out those craters that are, we're beginning coming out of the clouds here. So you're seeing me play with the cameras here, but hey, you know what? I love this. This is great. My exposure time originally was 1/2000th of a second, and the live view is 1/1000th of a second. We are now having to go to 1/80th of a second. This is partly due to the high level clouds, and it is partly due to, well, almost more than half the moon's disappeared now behind the Earth's umbra, its shadow. So it's getting really exciting here, folks. Really exciting here. And by the way, thank you everyone for joining my channel, Space Traveler X, coming to you live today from New Mexico. And if you're not a subscriber, feel free. It'd be really great if you could subscribe to the channel here. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers here. Anyways, we're looking at the partial eclipse phase of the super blue moon. We're in Mexico. And we're almost entering, and for those curious, we are about, let's see here, 37. We are 34 minutes from entering the total eclipse phase. So the moon is moving rapidly to the total eclipse phase. That will happen at 5:51 Mountain Standard Time, 7:51 Eastern Standard Time, and lunchtime, or 12:51 in the UK on Universal Time. So we're moving fast into that event. Now, just as you can tell, the moon is moving rapidly to moonset. The total eclipse, actually maximum eclipse, will be at 6:29 Mountain Time, and the event will end at 7:07 Mountain Time. And then the moon sets at about 7:09. So 2 minutes later, the moon sets. Now, with this event here, we will, especially with the home in the way, we will be into totality, and we'll see the moon disappear while in totality. So those of you further west, you will see it longer duration, and those of you in Hawaii, in Alaska, and the Aleutians should see the entire event. And I want to say, without the chart in front of me, I want to say if you're in even Japan, let me look at the map here. Yeah, if you're in Japan, China, most of Australia, Indonesia, New Zealand, you will see the entire event from beginning to end. Oh, and JAE, I see your question. Yes, you will see this moon turn very deep red soon. It will definitely turn deep red here at 5:51 Mountain Time, 4:51 Pacific Time, and 7:51 Eastern Time here. So we're moving rapidly to going from just being a super blue moon to a super blue blood moon lunar eclipse event. And I'm also playing photographer here as I put these together, these pictures, and then I will be posting them online. I will be creating metal prints of this event. I will be making posters from this event, and the whole range of things. So that's why you see me taking all these pictures, so we have them for reference. Also, the moon is still a bit in the clouds, high-level clouds. That creates a little bit of kind of a muddled look to the moon, and losing some of the contrast with the craters and what have you. But it looks like it will be in a clear zone here once we get past these high-level clouds. So what you see me doing right now is taking and thank you very much for the new subscriber, STE Biz. And again, if anyone has any questions while I'm taking these pictures, please feel free to ask. I'll try and answer them with all the excitement going on here. Yeah, astronomy tonight, it is getting very exciting out here. I'm looking out my office window here. Actually, I'm going to get a picture of this here. I've got to just get this command view picture here. Let's see. Oh boy. It's not looking the same as I thought it would. Okay, there we go. There is the command view. So I am trying to get all these pictures to chronicle the event. And it is definitely getting darker and darker outside. Again, for those of you who don't know, my name is Andrew Santangelo, coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico. And we are broadcasting to you the super blue moon right now, the partial eclipse phase of the super blue moon. Super because the moon is in perigee right now. It's closest approach to Earth, or pretty close to it. Blue moon, so it's not really a scientific term. Blue moon because, well, it's the second full moon of the month of January. And if you have two full moons in a month, the second one's always called a blue moon. And very shortly, the moon will be fully inside the umbra of the Earth's shadow, and it will go dark red right before your eyes, and you'll see some really cool pictures of the super blue blood moon. And the last time this happened, folks, was in 1866. So this is a pretty rare event here. This is pretty exciting that we're here for this event. And for you photographers out there, if you're curious, the exposure settings are changing. Originally, when this event began, I was at ISO 400, and I still am. But the exposures were running around 1/2000th of a second. It was a very bright moon. Now, we are running at 1/500th of a second. So it is changing rapidly. I'm going to also do a way over exposure here to see if we can light up the other side of the moon and start seeing it, the craters. And that's coming from the Earth's shine, actually the Earth's light lighting up the, let's see if we get this picture. Yeah, see that, folks? A little bit of redness there. We can see some of the craters on the other side's overexposed. That's why it looks washed out like that. But so that's looking pretty cool. But soon we'll be in a live blood moon event here. And that event's going to occur in about, let's see here, 27, no, that can't be right. Yeah, 27 minutes will be in totality. The moon will be completely in the umbra. So stay tuned for the excitement, folks. And now you're going to see me in the, you'll notice in the upper left hand corner, that is the LX850 cam. What you're seeing there is the view of the telescope and the view of the moon. And it still looks nice and round in that picture because we are using an infrared camera. And because it's infrared, well, it can even detect the dark side of the moon. That's why it still looks lit up that way. But I can definitely assure you, it is getting dark all around the area. Okay, I'm going to zip out really quick and get a picture. Because unfortunately, the wider field camera does not have a remote control. Stay tuned. In about, let's see, 25 minutes, we'll be entering totality and the super blue blood moon. Alrighty, I'm back. I had a futz with the wide field camera. It wasn't behaving well. That's not good, but that's why we have backup cameras here. This is Andrew Santangelo coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico, where I'm sharing with you the partial eclipse phase of the super blue moon. I'm also playing photographer here, taking pictures of the event and sharing it with all you folks. I can definitely tell you, initially when photographing this event, I was running at 1/2000th of a second. We are now running at about 1/400th of a second. And for those even more curious, we're running at ISO 400. And after being outside, I can tell you it is definitely getting darker and darker outside. It is calm. It is still about 30, well, now it's about 34 degrees, but it is calm and fairly clear outside of a few high-level clouds. It is very clear the moon is disappearing into the umbra of the Earth's shadow. And yes, JEAE, I did see you mention the native name post. I did catch that here in the frantic throes of getting all these pictures here. And this is getting exciting, folks. The moon is getting deeper and deeper into the and thank you, by the way, JAE, for being a subscriber here. And if you got, and for those of you, please, it'll be great if you could subscribe to my channel, and we can share more fun events like this. Right now, what the fun event you're seeing is the partial eclipse phase of the super blue moon. Super because the moon is in perigee right now. Blue because it's the second full moon of the month of January. When there's 2 full moons in the month, the second one's referred to as a blue moon. And yes, very, very shortly, this moon will be turning deep red. And that's where we get the name Blood Moon. And actually, let me take some extra pictures here for you. And you will be seeing me going in and out, by the way, adjusting the various cameras and what have you. I'm going to try and overexpose this picture. Yeah, look at that, folks. In that overexposed picture, you can see the dark side of the moon. Now, why can we see that? That is because it is being illuminated by the Earth. That is partly from Earth shine, and also some of the light bending through the clouds of the upper atmosphere. So it's not only the Earth shine, but it's also the sunlight escaping through going through around the edge of the atmosphere. And depending on the volcanic activity and atmospheric conditions, it can affect the redness, the color of the that you see on the moon. So this is getting pretty exciting here. So that's that's 1/4 of a second, by the way, guys. If you're curious, that's a 1/4 of a second picture. But I'm definitely cutting my exposure times down rapidly because there's just not much moonlight to work with now. And I can definitely tell you outside, before it was nice and bright out, and now it is getting dark out. So you're also seeing me not only share the event, but also I am the playing photographer here for this event. And I will be posting the location for these. They will be posted on Facebook and Instagram, but I also will be putting these on my Smug Mug site for posters and metal prints and all that cool stuff. But we're getting close to the main event, which will be happening in 19 minutes. And the moon will indeed get red. One thing you'll see me do is play with the exposure of the moon and to bring out the stars. So I'll do some long exposures and you'll see the stars and what have you. Hang on a minute. I'm going to step outside and tweak something on one of the cameras. If you look on the upper left-hand corner, that's the LX850 cam view. You'll see me playing around with the telescope. Actually, I'm playing around with the wide field camera, and I'm going to tweak a little thing on the focus with the with the Canon 80D. Make sure everything's sharp before we get this main event here. I'll be back in a moment for the main event. All right, folks, it is getting really exciting out. And now that the clouds are clear, I'm going to try an experimental photo here. Again, this is Andrew Santangelo coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico. But let's see here how... Let's see. I want to try and... come on. I want this to behave for me. You're going to see me doing some experimental photography here. How about that? We're almost to totality, but we have a red blood moon going there, folks. Ain't that cool? Ain't that cool? Let me play around with this for a bit here. Now these shots, this is not a live view, but what you're seeing is a the picture taken by the camera. Now I'm going to try a kind of a longer exposure here. And that will begin to bring out the stars, I believe. Now, I am taking a 6-second exposure. But I can do that because, well, we got a motorized tracking going here. And let's see if that picture is coming out here. Well, I got some stars here. Let's go back to our live view. And it is definitely getting dark outside, folks. And we're about ready to enter the blood moon phase, or the super blue blood moon phase. So you're seeing me play a photographer here and present the live view to the world of this super blue moon. We are right now in the partial eclipse phase, but we are 14 minutes away from the totality, and that's going to happen at 5:51. And the moon is rapidly disappearing. I will tell you right now, when I went outside to play with the telescope, it is definitely getting dark outside. Before, around midnight, it was bright out, easily walk around, shadows, everything. Now, totally dark out. Totally dark out. So it's getting exciting here, folks. Again, my name is Andrew Santangelo. I'm coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico. Right now you're looking at the partial eclipse phase of the super blue moon. Super because the moon is, well, it's close to the Earth. It's in perigee in its orbit, and that makes it close, it makes it brighter, it makes it bigger, and so people like to call that a super moon. It is a blue moon because the moon it's the second full moon of the month, and the second full moon of the month is referred to as a blue moon. And soon it's going to be a super blue blood moon because it's going to look red looking. And as you saw with the exposure I just took, we got some nice red pictures. So it's going to start getting very exciting here, folks. This is going to go this way all the way to moonset. Actually, the eclipse event will be over, I want to say, at 7:02 or 7:07, and then at 7:09 it's set. You'll no longer see the moon anymore. But we're going to lose the moon, unfortunately, when it goes behind the neighbor's house here. So, but we will see it during totality, and then that will be the event. But I will be posting the pictures on Instagram and Facebook and what have you here. So right now, and also, you also notice the moon isn't looking as sharp also, not only because before there was clouds going in front. Now it's getting a little bit lower in the horizon. The atmosphere is a little unstable. You start noticing the moon looks a little wobbly, looks a little wavy. It looks like the picture of the moon is under a tray of water. That's because we're going through a lot more atmosphere now. And by the way, for the curious, the exposure setting originally started at 1/2000th of a second. We are now at 1/50th of a second and ISO 800. So clearly things are getting darker and not as much moon. And then I'm going to pop up some really cool pictures here. So yes, I'm whisking away a lot of pictures. It's getting exciting, folks. Really exciting here. How about that view, folks? That's 1/60th of a second. Let's do 1/80th. So you're seeing me take the pictures as they come out. Some I'll keep, some are like, well, I'm kind of experimenting, bracketing here with the pictures and what have you. There we go. Of course, it's tough a little bit to get some contrast because we're dealing with going through more of the atmosphere. The other thing is, well, the moon's above my neighbor's, the roof of my neighbor's home, and there's even some slight heat going above, rising above that roof, and that, of course, affects the view too. Now we're going to do an overexposed picture, see what things look like. This is a 1 second exposure. How about that? Yeah, we even have the moon going through some clouds, and now I'm picking up the clouds, and I am picking up the red side of the moon, the super blood moon look. Isn't that looking cool? Looks like almost smoke eerily coming up on the moon. And we are beginning to pick up some stars, so that's pretty cool too. So you can do a lot when you overexpose a picture like that. Let's see if I can do one more here. Let's see, we're doing a 4 second exposure now at ISO 800. That tells you how dark things are going, because originally I was dealing with ISO 400. Now we're at ISO 800. Yeah, we definitely, part of the muddled view is coming from the fact that we're dealing with clouds and what have you. But that's, you know, that's some high level clouds going through, but we're getting the view. That there is the live view of the super blue blood moon. Ain't that cool? And we are just moments away, 9 minutes away from totality. And then will be the super blue blood moon, and we will be in the totality phase, or the total eclipse phase. I'm going to get one more quick picture with the wide field camera, and I'll be right back, and then we'll be doing totality. Hello all, I am back. This is Andrew Santangelo coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico, and we are really getting close to totality. I will tell you, I've been checking out, and there are definitely some high level clouds that the moon is competing with. So that's causing some of our view problems there. So I'm going to take a couple quick pictures. You're seeing me in picture mode now. That's not the live view of the partial eclipse phase, and we're almost in the total eclipse phase. And I take a lot of pictures because I like to bracket because they're really hard to gauge the exposure, especially when there's some high-level clouds going through. So I like to tweak and play with the exposure and the ISO setting, especially depending on the elevation of the moon above the ground and everything. Let's do a long exposure here, and I'll show you what a long exposure. This is a 2-second exposure, and I bet you we're gonna light up the new dark side of the moon, the shadowed side of the moon. And as you can see in this picture, it is red, and you can see we have clouds in the view. And if you notice to the upper, kind of to the right, at about 2:30 position, there is a star showing up. But right now we do have the moon going through some high-level clouds. And there is the live view of the super blue moon, about ready to be the super blue blood moon. And I'm going to change that label right now. For those of you curious, for this live exposure shot on the Canon 80D, this is a 2-second setting at ISO 800. Originally, we are at 1/2000th of a second at ISO 400. So that tells you how dark things are getting. And I'm looking out my window, and I can just see a sliver of the moon. This is really cool, folks. We are just minutes away from the total phase, but I'm putting down total eclipse phase anyways, because we're just about there, and I'm getting pretty excited. I'm trying to get this last picture of the sliver of the moon before we lose the whole thing. And again, it's a little muddled because we're going through some high-level clouds. Now the question begs to be asked, will we catch an airplane going in front of the moon? That will be pretty cool. That will be cool. So let's go ahead and get ready to watch this event. Now, if you look carefully, with this overexposed setting, most of the moon has a either dark or orangish color. That's the part of the moon that's in the umbra, the shadow of the moon. The white sliver is all that's overexposed. That's the overexposed side of the moon, and that's what's left, what is visible. And in 3 minutes, we will be in totality. And let's see what this 2-second exposure looks like. Yeah, we're getting pretty close there. It's getting exciting, folks. It is getting exciting. Again, this is Andrew Santangelo coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico. We are entering the total eclipse phase here in 3 minutes, even though I've labeled it that we're in that phase right now. And we are now looking at the super blue blood moon. The super blue blood moon. It is, oops, messed up the camera telescope there. There we go, let's do that. It is super because the moon is at perigee. It is a blood moon because now it has a red color to it. And it is a blue moon because, well, it's the second full moon of the month. And it is, because of the second full moon of the month, that means it is a blue moon. The second one is. We are moments away from totality, 2 minutes away. Get another picture here. Get the last picture before we lose the whole thing. Isn't this getting exciting, folks? Let me get that one last sliver picture. It is, earlier it was completely dark out. Now it is completely, there you can see there is the sliver picture. It was completely, earlier it was completely bright out. There was getting shadows from the moonlight and everything. Now it is completely dark out. It is exciting, folks. Okay, enough of this. Let's go back to our blood moon look here. How's that sound, folks? All the experimenting here. As you can see, very tiny sliver of the moon is exposed. Very tiny sliver. Okay, I've just cranked the exposure up to 2 seconds and the ISO to 800. Actually, I'm going to put the ISO to 1600 for the live view. And yeah, we're seeing, you can see the moon is almost totally in the Earth's umbra, its shadow. We are less than a minute away from totality, the total eclipse phase, the super blue blood moon. We're coming to you live from New Mexico, the high desert of New Mexico. It is getting very, very exciting here, folks. Very exciting. And now we are in totality. There we go. How about that? Now, part of the color you see is because of the Earth's light going through the upper atmosphere, Earth's atmosphere, and bending around and lighting up the moon. Part of this light is coming to you because of the, here we go, is because we have some high level clouds. And if you notice, more stars have popped into this picture. It is definitely dark outside. The moon is gone. I'm looking out my window. I just see a hint of one side of the moon. But ain't that cool? That is a 2-second exposure at ISO 1600. We are now in the total eclipse phase of the super blue blood moon, coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico. This is really exciting here, folks. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. And I'll try and broadcast events just like this, and also past events, and just fun observing sessions. And for those of you curious how to do astrophotography, I can show you that too. Heck, I may even do a video on how to make apple pie. We'll see here. Again, my name is Andrew Santangelo. I'm coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico, where we're looking at the total eclipse phase of the super blue blood moon. The last time this happened was in 1866. You are seeing an incredibly rare event, folks. An incredibly rare event. Let's do another overexposed shot. And hopefully we'll see a jet airplane maybe go in front of the moon. Let's see what overexposed looks like. Yeah, how does that look? That's pretty cool, isn't that? Let me play with the ISO. Now I'm being photographer, playing with the ISO settings and what have you. Now we hit maximum totality at 6:29 Mountain Standard Time, 5:29 Pacific Time, 8:29 Eastern Time, and 1:29 Universal Time. So in the UK, it'll be after your lunch. And now you're seeing the super blue blood moon, a very incredible, rare event. This is very exciting, folks, very exciting. And we're very fortunate with the weather. Yep, we do have a couple of high clouds around, but it looks like it may have actually cleared up those clouds. I'm going to do a really long exposure here. Let me do 8 seconds. Let's see what 8 seconds looks like. And I bet at 8 seconds it's going to be washed out, but I bet we're going to see some stars here in the picture. And that tells you how dark it is out. The fact that we can see stars with that moon gone. I can just see it. Looking out my window, just see a hint where the moon is. Yep, you can see there's some stars. There is that little bit of haziness you see. That means there's some thin layer of clouds, but we can still see some of the stars through those thin clouds. That is really exciting, folks. That is really exciting. Go back to our 2-second exposure. I'm going to step out for just a moment to deal with our wide field camera and see if we can get some stars from that. This is again Andrew Santangelo coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico. You'll see me pop into the lower right corner in the LX850 cam view, fiddling with the wide field camera and getting some pictures, and I'll be back in. If you notice also in the wide field view, I was curious how it would look in infrared. We can't see the moon anymore. It's disappeared. So this is going to be a cool time-lapse video I'm going to produce later on. All right, I'll be back in a few moments for some pictures, taking some outdoor pictures, and let's enjoy the view, folks. The Super Blood Moon 2018. All right, folks, this is Andrew Santangelo coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico. I was getting some pictures in the wide field camera. I got some pretty amazing wide star field cameras with a little bit hint of clouds, but also it is totally dark out, totally dark. I can just see a faint hint of the moon, but you can see the constellations, all the stars out in clear detail. It is really exciting out. I'm going to take some pictures here again. Again, this is Andrew Santangelo coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico. And what we're looking at is the total eclipse phase of the super blue blood moon. Super because, well, the moon's in perigee. It is close to the Earth. And so we call it super moon, easier than just saying perigee moon. We're also in the blue moon because, well, it is the second full moon of a month, and if there's 2 full moons in the month, the second moon is called a blue moon. Why do we call it blood moon? Well, people look at that red color, in this case it's kind of orangish, and they call it a blood moon. And so hence we have a blood moon effect. And we call this, or people in the media and what have you, call it the super blue blood moon. And the last time an event like this happened was in 1866. So this is an incredibly rare event that you are watching right now, here live on the SpaceTraveler channel. And if you haven't done so already, feel free to subscribe to my channel, SpaceTraveler X, where we'll share this video, other videos, other live feeds from astronomical events, and answer your questions, and even show you how to do astrophotography, maybe how you do sailing, and we do send up satellites into space, and that's pretty cool too. I'll be sharing that with you. As a matter of fact, one of the radio systems that goes up, that we send up into space, our Linkstar STX-3 radio. It's hooked up to this telescope. We're testing it out for data collection purposes, and we got 4 of them going up in space later this year. That's pretty exciting. And then 4 more the following year. But we also have hobbyists use this radio, putting them on high-altitude balloons to 100,000 feet. Put them on boats, put them on cars, put them on drones, put it on whatever it is you want to put it on. What's really cool about these radios is they talk to other satellites in space, and you can message your data from literally anywhere, except I think we have a problem in the South and North Pole, but otherwise it works. It's pretty cool. Right now you see me taking a range of exposures and pictures here. I'm right now doing a 10-second exposure of the moon. Why am I doing that? Well, the super blood moon's going to look washed out, but I want to try and bring out the stars. I want to see the stars that are in the picture. And if you notice, I am getting stars showing up in the picture, so that's pretty cool. And right now I'm running at ISO, that was ISO 800. I'm going to run at ISO 1600 with an 8-second exposure. The net effect will be a brighter picture, but that's pretty cool there. I like to experiment with this. You do notice some hazy effect. That is because there are some high-level clouds around the moon right now. We're approaching the total phase, the maximum eclipse of the total eclipse phase at 6:29 Mountain Standard Time. That'll be 8:29 Eastern Time, 5:29 Pacific Time, and at about 1:29 Universal Time. So you see me whisking off these photos. These photos will be posted on Instagram, Facebook, and my SmugMug site. I definitely have some ideas to make some posters and cool metal prints and what have you with this. And you can go to my SmugMug site and even get them on a mug or a phone case if you want, depending on how fancy these pictures come out. You have to give me a couple of days, though. And thank you, JAE. Yes, these images, I got to tell you, I'm just excited here. And what's really cool is I'm controlling this from my office right now, and I can look out the window and see just a faint hint of the moon. But when I go outside, it is really mind-blowing because it is dark. I can see all these constellations. I wish I had a third camera set up to the night sky so you can see how You know, it's just like a regular night now. This view, actually in about 5-6 more minutes, is going to disappear though, because we're going to start hitting twilight and the sun's going to get ready to rise here. Take another picture here. And I'm doing some of these overexposed pictures so I can capture also the stars. And then what I do is I do an overlay of the what I call the regular exposure of the total effect, and I use Photoshop to overlay it with where the moon is for the stars picture. Now another thing I'll show later on is there's this really cool effect of the moon. It actually is moving, and because it's moving, you can see the let's get back here. Because the moon is moving, it's moving faster than our, you know, kind of like with the rotation of the Earth. So over the course of this night, you're going to see this moon move through the field of stars. You'll see it start in one location, and at the end of the event, it'll be at another location and cover other stars. Now, that's a little tougher to do this go around, only because we're dealing with some high-level clouds, and we're getting this at moonset, and we are getting this right above the roof of a home, which is no fun. And if you look at the LX850 cam to the lower right corner, you can see the telescope's getting very close to vertical. I still can't see the moon, but soon it will be going behind this home, and so then that'll be that. So I'm rushing to get as many pictures as possible in here before we get the moon set. So you can see this is pretty cool here. What you're seeing is the pictures I'm taking right now. These are actual pictures being taken with a Canon 80D through the Meade Series 6000 130mm refractor telescope. And by the way, it's an excellent telescope. I've used it for not only these lunar eclipses, I used it for the Great American Eclipse, and I got some amazing pictures from that. I also get some great and wonderful wide field photographs with that telescope. So we are right now in total eclipse phase of the super blue blood moon, coming to you live from New Mexico, the high desert of New Mexico. My name is Andrew Santangelo, and you are on the SpaceTraveler X channel. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe now. It's a really big help for our channel. It helps me get more product out, trying to get the word out, and let's get this exciting. And one of these days, I probably should do a video game episode and see how good I'm at doing video games, or get my commentary, how bad I am at video games, besides doing this astrophotography stuff here. We are looking at the super blood moon. This is really exciting. I'm going to take another overexposed star picture so we can see that movement later on. You can't see it now, but later on I'll be able to take the picture of the moon. You'll be able to see that movement of the moon against the field of stars, and it's really, really cool. Right now, it's taking a little longer because it's an 8-second exposure, and it takes another 8 seconds to calibrate and take out some of the bad hot pixels. And as you can see, there's still a little bit of haziness because we are looking through the clouds. So you see a little bit of haziness, but you can see the stars. And we are actually right now in the constellation Cancer, just past the Beehive cluster that's in the constellation Cancer. So there's a lot of cool stuff right now. We're getting close to moon set, but for now, maximum eclipse is at 6:29 Mountain Standard Time. That would be 1:29 Universal Time, and those of you on the East Coast, it'll be 8:29. By the way, I can't imagine people are right now leaving for work, and here in New Mexico, and they're seeing this moon. The moon disappeared. They're going to work looking at a moon that's completely disappeared. This is totally cool. Totally cool here. I'm going to be stepping out in a minute, take another couple of wide field pictures with our wide field camera. Unfortunately, I can't control that remotely. Plus, it gives me an excuse to go outside and look at this very, 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 very faint moon, and look at the not only the very faint moon, but also it's just wild seeing the constellations and everything, all the stars out. It is just crazy. It is beautiful out there right now. Whereas just a few hours ago, it was brilliantly bright. You know, the moon was creating shadows and everything. So you see me taking a bunch of pictures and experimenting here. Now we're back to the live picture of the super blood moon. In the total eclipse phase for the super blood blue moon. Coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico. And again, if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, Space Traveler X. And yes, I'll have this video and these pictures up on the YouTube channel. And this broadcast will be saved also. If you missed it, well, obviously you're here, but if others missed it, they can watch it later on and hear all the excitement. I'll be back. I'm going to be outside and get a few more pictures here before we get a bit of twilight in. Stay tuned. The super blood moon coming to you, the high desert of New Mexico. Hey, Astronomy Tonight, thank you for that compliment. This is an exciting stream. Now, everyone, if you recall, just about 4 or 5 minutes ago, I went outside and I talked about being able to see the constellations and the stars, and it was just completely dark out. Now, it is, you could see a hint of orange of the sun rising behind the Sandia Mountains here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And there's a hint of twilight in the sky. So the constellations are beginning to fade. And if you look at this picture right now, you notice it's not dark anymore. There's this hue of some blue. So now we're entering twilight here. And we're not even hitting peak eclipse yet. But we're now hitting the twilight phase. And that's why it's looking brighter like that in this picture, because now we got the sun beginning to come up. And actually, once the moon sets, then the sun will rise. It'll get bright at the same time. You will also notice the change in the view on the lower right-hand corner of the LX850 cam. You'll notice things are going to start getting brighter there too. So we are getting close to sunrise, moonset for the total eclipse phase of the super blue blood moon. And we're coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico. This is Andrew Santangelo on the SpaceTraveler X YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed already, please join my channel and enjoy the fun here as we get these last few pictures. These pictures will be posted on Instagram and Facebook and also on SmugMug. And I'm probably going to make some cool things out of this. I even got some ideas for ceramic tiles to make with this, so that's pretty cool. We are looking at this very rare event. It is a supermoon because the moon is at perigee really close, which makes the moon a bit slightly bigger, slightly brighter. It is a blue moon because it is the second full moon of the month. Whenever you have two full moons in a month, the second one's called a blue moon. And people call it a blood moon because, well, look at that color. It is red colored. It is, so that gives people the blood moon. And of course, people have attributed this to various events and what have you. And actually, a couple of years ago in 2014, 2015, there was 4 total lunar eclipse events right in sync between April, October, and that was called a lunar tetrad. And people had some ominous things about calling that the blood moon. So that's why we call this the super blood moon. And we're presenting this to you live from the high desert of New Mexico here on the SpaceTraveler X channel. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And if you're not a subscriber, please join our channel. That'd be great. It's a great help, and it gives me some ideas, and I love your ideas. If you guys have ideas, things you want to see, within reason, I'll do that for you here too. We are deep into this eclipse event. Right now, the moon is in the umbra of the Earth. It will be hitting total eclipse phase at 6:29 Mountain Standard Time, 5:29 Pacific Standard Time, 7:29 Central Time, 8:29 Eastern Time, and for those of you out in Europe, in the UK, it'll end at, or it'll be maximum eclipse at 1:29 Universal Time. So after lunch, after you've had your lunch, and you'll be approaching tea time, I think, in a couple hours. So the eclipse is going to end at 7:07, but I'm pretty convinced this moon is going to drop behind my neighbor's home. And again, don't worry, the cameras will not look inside the neighbor's home. We'll be good. What's interesting, though, is, you know, we're kind of low in the atmosphere now, and there are some high clouds, but we're getting some pretty sharp images of the moon and the stars around it. And if you notice in this picture, it is more and more light blue behind it, and that's because the sun is definitely rising. You can see all the hints of twilight behind the Sandia Mountains and a deep orange showing up right now. So we've gone from a dark, deep space look behind the moon to now a little bit of twilight. And that's in the picture view. Now in this live view, we don't see that yet, but we will soon. Do one more long exposure shot. So this is getting pretty exciting, folks. And for those of you curious, on the lower right-hand corner, that is the LX850 cam that's looking at the sky. It is kind of faintly picking up the moon. You can see it, just a hint of it, and it looks like it's getting close to dropping behind the home. And then you can see how this overexposed picture looks. So the sun is definitely rising. And my suspicion is right after maximum eclipse, the moon is going to disappear behind my neighbor's home. And at that point, well, we won't be seeing an eclipse, we'll be seeing the roof of someone's house. And that will be the end of the event for us here in the Mountain Time Zone, coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico, where we're having fun looking at the total eclipse phase of the super blue blood moon. This is a very rare event that happens Oh, last time this happened was in 1866, so it's been a while. So you guys are around to see this incredibly rare event here, and this is exciting, coming to you here on the SpaceTraveler X channel. If you're not a subscriber, please join right now. We'd love to have you join the fun for this and other events and what have you. We're now watching the moon chase itself down to the horizon. You can just see a faint in the LX850 cam view on the lower right corner. I will try and enlarge it a little bit. You can definitely see it is getting close to the roof. And once it goes below the roof, we won't be able to see the moon anymore. And then, of course, the moon will be setting. But who knows, we still might catch an airplane going in front of the moon here. That'll be cool. Again, my name is Andrew Santangelo, coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico. And if you can see in this picture, the view of the moon is brightening up quickly, the sky around it. We've got the sun rapidly rising here. Now this live view, we don't see that. Soon it will get kind of a brighter blue too in this picture. And we're still in the total eclipse phase of the super blue blood moon. Peak eclipse happens at 6:29 Mountain Standard Time, 7:29 Central Time, 8:29 Eastern Time, and 5:29 Pacific Time. And those of you in the UK, it'll be at 1:29. The event ends here in New Mexico at 7:07 a.m. and 7:09 is moonset. I'm pretty suspicious, though, probably around 6:40 Mountain Time, we will be dropping behind the home. So my neighbor's home, and all you get to see is their chilled air system and their vents and their roof. And if you notice, the moon is looking a little wobbly, a little unstable. That's because it's going through the thick atmosphere now, so we're going through a lot of air, and you're seeing the instability in the air. It's also got some slight heat coming off the roof of the home, and that can also be from they're heating their home, and some heat goes through the roof. Of course, earlier in the evening, when you had sunlight hit the roof, that creates heat too. So it gets to be more of a challenge with the low on the horizon and roofs and everything, that you get this heat and this disturbance in the air, so it doesn't look sharp and smooth anymore. And if you notice in the LX850 cam in the lower right corner, the sky is indeed getting brighter. It is indeed getting brighter. So we've got the sun coming up here. This is a pretty exciting night here, coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico, here on the SpaceTraveler X YouTube channel, where we're witnessing the total eclipse phase of the super blue blood moon. Super again because the moon is in perigee in its closest point in its elliptical orbit to the Earth. It is blue moon because it's the second full moon of the month. The second full moon in a month is called a blue moon. And we're calling it a blood moon because it looks red. And a lot of people put a lot of mystical stuff behind it. I'm going to get some more pictures. Now, this is a shorter exposure pictures that I'm working on right now. And you can even see in the short exposure picture, it is getting lighter and lighter out. We do have the sun, a hint of the sunrise behind the Sandia Mountains east of Albuquerque. You can see a hint of glow to the east-northeast. You can see kind of like a light blue in the sky, and the constellations and the stars are rapidly disappearing. And as you can see in this picture, this 2-second exposure, Now it is getting lighter and lighter out. And if you look at the LX850 cam to the lower right corner, you can definitely see it is getting lighter in that view too. Now for you people curious, I will be posting a time-lapse picture of the event too. So from the LX850 cam. That'll be pretty cool. So it is definitely getting lighter out. But we are still in the total eclipse phase, and we haven't even hit peak eclipse phase just yet. But we will soon. And shortly thereafter, I think we're going to see the moon go behind the house. And actually, if I look at the LX850 cam view, I can see a hint of where the moon is in the view. And it is just it looks like it's about ready to go behind my neighbor's air conditioner, actually. And then that will conclude the event here from the high desert of New Mexico. And I'm going to try and get some cool last pictures in before we lose our super blue blood moon. And as you can see, it is definitely getting dark out, or lighter out. Blah, getting lighter out, Andrew. I'm now using a 1 second exposure. We can still see the moon, but you can see it's getting lighter out. I'm going to get a quick picture on the wide field camera before we're done here. Hold on, folks. Hello everyone, this is Andrew Santangelo coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico, and just finished doing some wide field photographs outside. The moon is now getting close to my neighbor's vent on top of their home, so I think we're getting close to the end here. You can't see it here yet, but I was looking in the wide field view, and you can definitely see parts of my neighbor's roof coming into the picture. Also, if you look at this picture, we are getting close to sunrise, and it is getting lighter and lighter and lighter out. And the galaxy, you can't see hardly any stars now. It is definitely getting, twilight's coming in. Also, I was able to take, believe it or not, a picture of a hint of the sunrise over the Sandia Mountains. And it's getting light enough I could even take a picture of the telescope and the super blue blood moon. So we're getting close to the end here for us, because if you look in the left corner there in the LX850 cam view, the telescope is nearly now horizontal, and if you look carefully, there's a little white dot above my neighbor's home. That is the super blue blood moon. So right now we're getting close to both maximum, actually we have now hit maximum eclipse at 6:29 a.m. We're now hitting maximum eclipse just as the super blue blood moon is. Matter of fact, if you look in this picture I just posted, you'll see a hint of a white band. That is actually part of my neighbor's vent there. We're looking at the total eclipse phase. We're just past maximum. Now it's 6:30 in the morning Mountain Time. We're coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico on the SpaceTraveler X YouTube channel. And if you're not a subscriber, you should be one. We'd love to have you join the fun. You're looking at the super blue blood moon and the total eclipse phase. And we're getting close to sunrise, which will make things, well, tough to see. And we are getting very close to the end of the view. The eclipse event actually ends at 7:07, and then the moon completely sets at 7:09. So at moon set, and actually, let me put it differently. 7:09 means the moon is completely below the horizon. So that means totality will end. If I had a flat, open desert view and I didn't have my neighbor's home, you'd see the moon, a eclipsed moon, ending but going partly down the horizon. Now, if I was at the top of the Sandia Mountains at 10,654 feet, we probably would have get an extra few minutes and actually see the eclipse end in its partial phase there. By the way, the partial eclipse ends at 8:11 a.m., but the moon will be well below the horizon by then. So I'm squeaking in the last few pictures. And now as I take this picture, you can't see it from this view because it's only partial, but it is about ready to go behind our neighbor's home. I can definitely see the roof. So we're going to watch this to the end. I think we're going to be done from our view at 6:34, maybe no later than 6:38. Because then it sets not on the land, but it's going to set behind my neighbor's home. But still, we're going to get some cool views here of the super blue blood moon. The last moments of it, we're in the total eclipse phase. It is getting lighter out because, well, we're getting close to sunrise here in the high desert of New Mexico on the SpaceTraveler X YouTube channel. And as you can see in this view, I'm going to try and pop over that black line you kind of see begin to form. That is my neighbor's roof's home. So the moon is getting close to moon set here in New Mexico. And it's getting quickly brighter out. Matter of fact, I actually from here, I can't even see the moon anymore. From my perspective, my office, it's definitely behind my neighbor's home. The telescope has a little bit better angle where it's at. But that's going to rapidly disappear too. And then again, the moon really begins touching the ground. It looks like realistically at about 7 a.m. Mountain Time, but it'll be ending at 7:09 or at 7:07. But it'll be in 2 minutes later below the horizon. So we're almost done here with the super blue blood moon event, coming to you live here from the high desert of New Mexico on the SpaceTraveler X channel. And I'm just capturing the last few pictures here for you guys so you can see this moon set in the twilight. And this is at 800 ISO for those of you curious, and 1 3/10 seconds. So let me play it. So I'm playing with some exposures here. Makes for an interesting effect here. And as you can see, it is quickly going behind my neighbor's home. I'm going to expand the view here on the LX850 cam. And you can see it is definitely pointing to the ground. Oh, it looks like it's pointing to the ground, but it's virtually horizontal right now. As we wrap up from here in the high desert of New Mexico, the super blue blood moon event. Last time this happened was 1866, and it won't happen. Actually, it happens. I got to double check again, but I want to say it was 2037 is the next one, so it's not too far away. But this is indeed a rare event, and we're coming to you live from the high desert of New Mexico. And as you see, the moon, the super blue blood moon, is rapidly going behind the neighbor's home and disappearing just like that. So I'm capturing these last few pictures for everyone so you can see what it looks like as it sets behind the house. On the LX850 cam, you can definitely see it is getting lighter outside. It is getting lighter outside, and that moonset is going to correspond with the sunrise. No surprise there. And by the way, you can barely see any, there's no stars we see. It's definitely a twilight setting here in New Mexico now, as we squeak these last few pictures as we go in. And yes, don't worry. Do not worry, folks. We won't be taking pictures inside the neighbor's home. By the way, if you look in the LX850 cam view, you can see the pictures. I left the LCD screen on, so you can see the pictures flash in that view as it's taking the last few pictures of the moonset. Now, I predicted 6:38 would be the latest we'd be able to see it, and it looks like I'm going to be right on that call. It will continue on the total eclipse phase because the moon completely sets behind the horizon at 7:09. But at that point, at 7:07, the eclipse ends, so we won't be able to see it exit the horizon. So we're getting these last few pictures in. And for the curious, I did take a quick nap around 2 in the morning to 3 in the morning. Usually don't do that. And when I'm stargazing and stuff. And then I'm going to go right to bed and get some rest. I've been wired and excited for this event. This is really exciting. And we're on the last few seconds. You can see the tippy top of the super blue blood moon above my neighbor's roof. I always like taking a few extra pictures of the last few seconds and just see the very, 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 very top. And one last second here, and I think she is gone. The super blood blue moon is now behind the house. No more. We are done here in the high desert of New Mexico with the super super blue blood moon. It is actually still going on throughout Earth, and it is, and of course in Hawaii they can get a good view of that. You're going to see me now kind of play around with the telescope and put in the views because we're now getting close to finished with everything here with the event as we park the telescope and everything. Are getting ready to park the telescope. And if you notice in this LX850 cam view, it is getting quite a bit brighter out, and soon the camera is going to switch from infrared mode to daylight mode. Now I've just commanded the telescope to point at Polaris, but it's not really going to see it, I don't think. And I'm actually controlling the telescope wirelessly through the Stella box that's attached to the Meade LX850. So you can see we're pretty much done with the event. Oh yeah, it's trying to tilt over to where the Polaris is. Alright, I am back here, everyone. This is Andrew Santangelo. I decided to go park the telescope, so you saw me step out to park it, because I just realized there's no star to point at because it's too bright out. And then I thought I'd humor myself and see if I can see the super blue blood moon down the street close to horizon, but it's completely disappeared now. It is not visible. So we are done here on the SpaceTraveler X channel. Actually, let me share one other screen view here. Let's see here. We control everything here. Let's see here. Let me do this one thing here. Close off the camera. So even though I am controlling everything from well, there's different things I'm controlling. I'm controlling a camera, and I'm controlling the position of the telescope with the through a wireless connection through my iPad. But for the image processing and the power management for the whole telescope, I have an Eagle 2 computer from Prima Luce Labs hooked up to the telescope. And so I can turn on and turn off things, and also I have USB connections that is actually bringing in the data here. So let me see if I can get a better view of the screen for you guys here. And let's see here. There we go. There's a better view for you guys. Anyways, you can see on the right here I have the different power controls. The first one you see is Canon. That's the Canon 80D to the primary telescope. I can just click that and turn that off, which I just did. Now I have the Sesto Senso robotic focuser. That's turned on. I'm going to turn that off now, just like that. So I'm controlling the power of the telescope. Now, what's really cool about this setup is I can hook this up to a battery pack if I'm out in the wilderness, and it will let me know how much power I'm using, how much battery life I have left, and that's when it really comes to its own. So it can provide some efficient power management for me. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the wide field camera. And lastly, you see LX850. I'm going to go ahead and, since the telescope's been parked into position, I'm going to turn that off. And now we are all set here. Let me go back to the LX850 cam. So the whole telescope is now turned off. Oh, and while this happened, the screen went from infrared mode to color mode, regular light mode. So that tells you it is getting quite bright outside right now. And that is that. That concludes our broadcast on the SpaceTraveler X channel from the high desert of New Mexico of this incredibly rare super blue blood moon event. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel where you get more notice of events and what have you. And let's have some fun here. Again, my name is Andrew Santangelo, and thank you for sharing your time with me and joining me with this amazing, amazing event. Take care, everyone. Thank you very much.